roadway as I turned onto 6th Avenue from 17th Street. I have the windows down and I could actually smell it. I actually parked where my patrol vehicle is parked right now and just started doing a walk around the perimeter of the residence, and the smell was horrendous. You could see a bunch of flies and actually almost all of the windows as well, so that's indicative typically of some sort of a death, or that we would be conducting a death investigation.
So did you were the one who noticed and stopped, or were you called to the...
We had an anonymous phone call that basically stated that there was an elderly female that lived inside of that residence that they had not seen in some time. They felt as though there was a heavy odor and, like I said, the flies, so they were concerned about it. They didn't leave their information, so I basically just came out here to conduct a welfare check on the subject that lived in that residence.
But you knew right away something wasn't right.
Correct. Correct.
And is this home right here, correct?
The gray house, correct. The white door.
And going into as much detail as you can, though, so you opened the door, or you what?
No, these doors are actually all secured. They all open outwards, so that requires a different tool to make entry into the residence, because like I said, at that point in time, I felt very strongly that we would be conducting some sort of a death investigation, so I contacted another deputy to be en route here. And once that other deputy got here and started walking around the perimeter of the house, he looked into one of the windows and saw what he believed to be a deceased dog in a kennel.
And apparently, according to your crime scene guys, I mean, this dog had been there for a while.
That's correct. It wasn't as though the dog had just recently died. They felt that it was at probably 3 to 4 weeks, if not more.
Without you going into, I guess, a rant, but as a canine officer and someone who works so closely with dogs, I mean, this must have really hit you to the core, right?
It was disgusting to the point where I actually left. Once the 3 deputies that were here, they had it under control. They did a very good job with it, and it wasn't something that I needed to be here anymore for.
We actually got a tip that the cage that the Rottweiler was found in was actually next to the woman's bed. Do you know anything about that? Or
Can't answer that question.
Can't answer that? Okay.
I can tell you this, that when we were here, there was a large bag of dog food. There's 2 doors right in that, I guess, a little garage carport, if you will. The one that is, the doorway is facing north. There was a giant bag of dog food right outside of there. There was no reason to not feed the animal. There's no reason to leave the animal like that. You should very easily turn it over to Animal Control or Humane Society, or heck, put it up on any one number of the different dog adoption sites. I'm sure someone would have been glad to take it.
Okay.
And that's probably the lesson here. We talked to a woman here who said she had offered to help and you know, walk the dog or do whatever the dog needed, but never heard anything back. And there's no reason an animal should be treated this way.
No. Like, I've been around for quite a bit of time between, you know, working dog fighting stuff and other animal neglect, and that was just the most tame word that I can use is disgusting, but that also kind of relays exactly what it is. It's disgusting.
Can you say anything about the other dog that was in the home, its condition?
The other dog was, I would say, probably pretty thin. Wasn't obviously in the condition that the other poor dog was, but I would venture to say that it was on its way as well. We seized that dog, turned it over to Animal Control, and hopefully she'll never be able to own another animal again.
Okay. About how many deputies would you say responded to the scene on Saturday?
Originally, I responded first. Like I said, we felt that we had some sort of a death investigation, that we were going to need a force entry. 2 more deputies responded at that point. Once we realized, to be perfectly honest with you, I really thought that it might have been a deceased person. And, you know, potentially then that the dog was deceased as well, because, you know, its caretaker was deceased. So, and then it kind of evolved into, I was able to make contact with the person that actually lives in that residence, asked her a couple of questions, and she said that she would come back. She actually was at Starbucks. That's exactly what she told me. She was at Starbucks.
Wow.
And I know the report that we got stated the information that she gave about, like, when she last fed the dog. Are you able, to discuss the conversation that you had at all of that extent?
I believe she had said something along the lines that she had fed it maybe a week ago or a couple days ago, but that's obviously false, because that dog had been deceased for, again, probably the better part of a month.
Are you also you mentioned this is obviously a disgusting case. You've been on a lot of calls. Where would you rank this?
You know, it's an animal case. It's not something like a human. I mean, I've seen some pretty bad stuff, you know, human on human wise, but for animals,